Hey everybody! Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another vlog or installation, I guess you can call it. I've already gone ahead and started pulling my truck apart. What I'm doing is I'm putting a CB radio in it. I think because I've been doing this outside the past couple of days, I just, work on it slowly. It's kind of a disaster. I'm gonna pull it into the shop and then clean it up a little bit. I went out wheeling there, as you guys saw in the last video. There's some junk in the back still, so what I'm going to do is pull it into the shop. I'll empty this truck out, get all this junk out of here, kind of tidy it up a bit so you actually know what you're looking at. And I'll just carry on with the installation. I'll show you what I've already done, and then you can follow along and see what I'm going to do and what I'm actually doing. So let's do it. Yeah, so we'll get this door open here and all right, so we're in the Sonoma here. I just show you I'm gonna show you quickly what I've done already. So I pulled the dash apart. So the dash is right there. It's just the more or less the bezel. So this cable here, this is what powers my CB. Oh god, okay. I know. It's a disaster in here. So there's my CB. It's the Uniden Bearcat 980 SSB. It's actually pretty decent. I had it on my last truck. So what I did is, this bracket here comes with the CB. So I've just placed it on the dash. I had some tape on there and I just held it down, and then I just kind of more or less marked where the screws were gonna go. Got a little angle bit, which is right in there. Kind of some janky looking thing. Drilled down so I can get a bolt through. I bolted this thing on. So that's basically taken care of. So now what I got to do is run the power. So I'm just gonna figure out where the power is gonna go. So I grabbed the power cable that I had. It's already really long. It has a whole bunch of wires hanging off of it. Yep, that's it there. So try and figure out a spot for that to go. I'm probably going to go through the firewall. All right, let's do it. This truck is super hard to get anything through because everything's so tight. Battery is down in my flashlight. Oh. Ho-ho! How's that for light? Whoa. Light it up, holy. Okay, so I might just go through there. The little spot right there. Right through there. There's a bunch of wires that I have going through there already. So what I'm gonna do is probably see if I can get that hole bigger, or maybe just drill a new one next to it so I can get more wires through. So those wires, they actually come through. It's right down there somewhere. So that's what I mean, it's really tight. Anyway, when they come through, I can attach my ground to any one of the grounds. There's a ground actually right there, which I can attach to for the ground. And then my power, what is actually nice about these trucks is they actually have a fuse box, and under here they have a big bank of fuses and big relays. One of them comes factory without a fuse in it, and it's actually called a stud. And that stud, you can have, I believe it's up to a 30 amp fuse. They're quite large, so you just put a fuse in there, and then you pull the fuse box apart, and then you'll see the stud there, and you just basically have a hot feed off your battery right from the fuse box. So instead of just putting a whole bunch of those stupid little things on the battery, mine have none. I have a top post battery and side post, actually it's dual post. Nothing off the top. I just go straight to my ground, and then off the power, which is actually comes straight out of the fuse box, I've run a big thick power cable over, around, and up. And I installed a bus bar. And a bus bar is basically a whole whackload of power feeds. The only thing sketchy about bus bars is that if you were to just ground anything out against it, it would spark, obviously. But that's why everything that I have is fused. So right from the fuse box to the bus bar, it's fused. And from the bus bar, anything from the bus bar out is also fused. So protected on both ends. So as you can see, I got a couple of relays for my light bars. So the light bars, I'm going to, one day, I'm gonna actually tie them into the high beams, which would be really nice. I just need to get a high beam feed to one side of the relay just to give it power, so that when I hit my high beams, the relay will just trip on and turn the light bar on without having to hit the switch for the light bars. Because that gets kind of annoying, and I have them in kind of a stupid spot. This is a little push button switch under the dash. Right there. So when I'm sitting in here, if I'm sitting in here, I'm driving along, I'm gonna hit the switches right there, and it turns the light bars on. But it'd be nice to just flick on the high beams and then they'll automatically do it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and get this power cable through. Might be tough for me to film, so maybe I'll just put the smaller tripod back on because it's so tight in here with this big tripod. Where did I put it? There it is. Alright, let's get this thing swapped out. Alright, there we go. So I got the old one off. That's actually for this. This is what bro was looking for there a little while back. It was on the stairs. That's what you're looking for.
Hey bro.
What's going on?
Let's go then.
Alright, so now I got a hole through the firewall. I'm gonna get a little grommet. I'll stick the grommet in there and shove the wire through. Alright, got one in there. It was actually a bit tough to get in there by itself. They're actually really hard because it's actually kind of cold out here. So I just gave it a little bit of a heat with the heat gun. Super soft, like really, really soft. So it was actually, I felt like I was gonna tear it. That's the hardest part of this whole thing, getting through the firewall. So we'll carry on here. Best tripod ever. We got a pail. You would use a heat gun. I just used a lighter because it was right here. I have a heat gun just sitting over on the bench. That heat shrink, it's basically just like electrical tape, but 100 times better. So now that that's connected, I'm pretty well done under here. I'm just gonna pull the wires through so that it's not hanging on my gas pedal. It looks like there's a ground over here and there's a ground way over there. This one's way easier because it's right next to the bus bar and I don't have to peel the wire all the way back just to split it in two. So I'll put a couple of connecting ends on here, run a nut on it, maybe some dielectric grease to keep it from getting all corroded, and we'll have power. Alright, now I'm pretty sure that all the wiring should be good to go. I'm going to give it a test run. I'm just going to plug the CV in and see if it powers up. Alright. There's a radio here. Put that in the back. Alright, let's see. Nope. Huh. Maybe the fuse. There's no fuse in the other fuse block, but since I have two, I think I'll just connect the 2 wires on the other end, because who needs 2 fuses in line? That's kind of dumb. Okay, we'll try this again. Everything's all plugged in. I got a wire just straight connected there. I got a little fuse block behind the radio, which is actually a lot easier to access than under the hood. Without further ado. Nice. Awesome. All right. Now that's done. I gotta get this antenna hooked up. All right, so I got the antenna mounted up here. It's magnetic. The whip, I'm just waiting on my SWR meter. The whip here just gets adjusted. There's a little set screw in there, it looks like. Just chop out ever so slightly, the smallest bit. But I gotta wait for the meter to show up in order to actually adjust it properly. So right now, I'll just get it wired up right to the radio. The radio actually comes with a built-in SWR meter. From what I've heard, like review videos and stuff on YouTube, it's not really the greatest. They're close. One guy had it almost identical, like match for match, and then some other guy, he said it was way out to lunch. But I don't know, I'll play with mine maybe, but I think I'll probably just wait for the meter, or sorry, I'll just wait for, yeah, I'll just wait for the SWR meter to show up, and then I'll actually just use the new tool that I bought rather than the radio. Then that way we'll know, and then I can match it up to my actual radio. I'm just gonna run the wire through the door here. There's a nice spot kind of hidden in behind. It doesn't get crushed. I'll just run it up through the headliner. So right there, it runs through quite nice. It's actually nice and hidden there. It comes through up there. I can kind of see some light through it, so. There's some light that shines through here, but. So I'll just get this headliner pulled off. I'll just run this wire along here, down, and then I might just run it across the dash, but if there's room, I'll take it inside, which might be kind of annoying. I'll take it inside and I'll go up and then pop out through right there. There's a hole right in the center, which works for wires, because that hole you can see through, and you can feed the wires through the bottom.
If you're out, if you were down, man.
So now I have this all routed, and it's actually plugged into the CB radio now. Ooh, I'll rephrase that. Zoomed in so freaking far in my face. Okay, now I have it all wired up. Antenna is mounted on the roof here, goes down, goes into the headliner, runs through the headliner up down here, goes through here. So I had to pull the speaker out. You can kind of see it. I pulled the speaker out so I can get the wire routed through, so I can grab onto it and pull it through. It comes up through, in behind my dash there, goes up through the dash, cuts across and goes through that little hole in the middle. And when it comes through the hole, it actually pops out, ties into the back of the radio. The wire is actually ever so slightly longer, which is good. I like that. I had a little extra down here, so I pulled it all back through and I tucked a whole bunch into the headliner. So if I wanted to move the antenna farther that way, or maybe more farther forward, or maybe even in the future get a mount for the box to have a whip hanging up, I actually have enough lead that I can just feed it down to the antenna. So now I'm going to go ahead and button this whole thing back up together, because that's pretty well it's installed. I do have a PA speaker coming for this thing, which I'm going to mount under the hood, but that has to show up with the SWR meter, and I'll carry on that end maybe in a different vlog, or maybe later on in this video here. So we'll just carry on. I'm gonna set this thing on scan and... Okay, well, that's just me playing around with the radio. I gotta get this thing mounted. I got a little mount here for the mic. I'm gonna get this thing put back on too. It just goes like that. Doesn't look like I have to notch it or anything. I'll just let the wires kind of jam themselves through. If it's too annoying or if it just doesn't look good, then I'll fix it. But alright, so I think for ease of access and not wanting to have to drill a whole bunch of holes on my dash, this actually works pretty good. I mean, it's being held on. It's the clip that comes with it. So you're supposed to screw this onto somewhere, right? So you actually screw it on, and then when you pull the radio off, it comes off, right? And there's your mount. So you can put it like there or wherever. But with it actually on the back, it actually works quite well. If you just take it, put it in there. I mean, I can still grab onto it. I can still put it in there. But I think I'll just leave it just like that for now until I actually, you know, use it enough to figure out a good spot for it. Anyway, there it is there. Try for a thumbnail here. That should be a decent thumbnail. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so I got the antenna on there. Got the radio installed. Microphone's in a decent spot. I just need my SWR meter and I can get the thing tuned up. How's that for lighting? Okay, well, if that was interesting to you, or if it helped you out at all, just leave a comment down below. Give this video a like to show me that it was actually decent content for you. I'll leave a link down below to what radio I installed. I'm just gonna grab the SWR meter and get this thing hooked up, get this thing all calibrated, and I'll chop the antenna down. Alright, so it's a couple days later now. I got a couple of things I want to do to the Sonoma, which I had talked about earlier. I got my SWR meter here. I'm gonna connect this thing up. It just it's got a couple plugins in the back of it, so one from the antenna and one from the actual radio itself. And it's just the frequency runs through the thing and it just tells you exactly what you need. I got the cable to connect between the radio and the SWR, and then I also have a little PA speaker, which would be pretty funny to hook that thing up. Yeah, I don't know if I'll install it, but let's grab the truck and plug in this SWR. Give her a go. Just gotta go park it out in the middle of my field here just so I don't have much interference going on. They say you probably shouldn't have too much interference when you're doing the SWR because radio frequencies and stuff, but... bro.
What are you doing without me?
I'm doing my SWR. Oh.
You guys show me how everything works?
Yeah, I gotta go park in the field. Oh, the battery's dead. Okay. Okay, so I got the SWR here. I'm gonna plug it in. Give me a few seconds and I'll do that. Okay, so I got the SWR plugged in. Okay, so I got the paper. I went back and grabbed it. Oh, what did it say here? Yikes. That is way too high. Okay, well this thing's kind of hooped. This antenna, it's too short for me. See this here? That's actually got, no, the sun's right in the way. This here, this length, is a really skinny one. I need a longer one. I'll have to find another long one, or worst comes to worst, probably feed a new antenna, but not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Anyway, more to come. After some investigating, I got a longer antenna there. So it's actually Robert's antenna. It's the Wilson Little Will. I heard good reviews about this antenna. It's actually kind of cool how Robert had one of these, but I plugged it in anyway. Just ran the cord down, up over the mirror. It's all just everywhere. I have it plugged into the SWR right here just to test this one out. So I have the truck running right now because I figured that when I'm using this CB, the truck will be running. I tested it already. I added a little length because it was showing a higher SWR on lower channels and a lower SWR on the higher channels, basically telling me that the antenna's not long enough. When you're trying for SWR, you're trying to get a 1-to-1. They say that a 1.5 to 2 is usually decent, so anything over 2 is just not gonna work for you. There's a list, basically all your power losses and stuff. So when I had my smaller antenna, I was getting like a 6, which is over 50% of power loss, which is terrible. I mean, that's not gonna work. So I plugged in this little wheel, and I'll show you what I'm getting with this little wheel or whatever they call it. So channel 1, SWR, this thing's up, key it up. So I have to set it. So now that it's set, I flick the switch down, there it is there. So I'm getting like 1.6, 1.7. That's on channel 1. So go to channel 40, do the same thing. I'll flick this back up in forward position. So I'll key it up. I have to hit the set, which is really close to what it was already. And I'll hit down, and look at that, it bottoms right out, almost like 1.2. I'll go to channel 20. Go to channel 20 because they claim that this is halfway between high and low. So I'll go back up here. So this is like a mid-range point. So I'll go here, looks decent already. Click down, that's really good. Really, really close to 1. So I get this thing pretty well set. I'll probably just run this antenna for a little bit. I'll have a couple of antennas hanging off the top. Whatever. I'll have the cable. It's not the greatest. I'm gonna have to figure out with my antenna that I have already mounted in here, I'm gonna have to figure out how to lengthen it. So I'm gonna keep the SWR hooked up to this because they claim that it doesn't actually affect it at all. So anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's not for everyone. Most of the people watching this probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Realistically, you just look up online and it'll give you an idea. But CBs are kind of a thing of the past now. People are changing to VHF. I got a VHF radio as well, but it's kind of cool to have the CB. Hopefully Bro gets one pretty quick and we'll be able to chit chat with each other while we're all wheeling. Anyway, until next time, see ya.